I am Ryan Lucas, and welcome to Abstract Essay, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest, founder and CEO of RoofBids, shaking up the roof industry for the good of the world, none other than Mr. Joe Casalese.
Hello.
Welcome on Abstract Essay, Mr. Joe, and can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yeah, sure. Joe Casalese, as you said, CEO and founder of RoofBids. I reside in Central Florida. It's where we started the business. Sunny Florida. We're in the backyard of Disney World. I live here with my wife and two kids. Actually, my daughter just went off to college, so we're learning to begin to be semi-empty nesters.
Empty nester. Yes, they grown up, eh? And
Yeah.
Mr. Joe, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today let's talk about fail and fail hard. You must fail to succeed. How do you personally define failure, and how does the definition differ from society's view of it?
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah. I I see failure as not meeting my own expectations. So I think if everybody takes that definition, then it's going to be different for everybody. I think sometimes the world sees what they want to see, and they perceive failure in different ways, you know. So, um, you know, we have LeBron James, for example, has made it to, I don't know, he's made it to 10 championships and he's only won four of them. Tom Brady has won seven out of whatever the number is, 10 or 12. Is that failure or is that success? You know, so some say LeBron James isn't as good as Michael Jordan because he hasn't won as many, but he's been to many. So I think failure is pretty much in the eye of the beholder.
In your opinion, why are people so afraid of failure even though it's often the most powerful teacher?
Mm. Yeah, I think that failure just doesn't feel good, you know? I mean, again, it's your own expectations. So you want to you want to be achieving a certain level, and you have to have a level of confidence and skill in something. And if you don't achieve that, then you feel like a failure. And so then if you feel like you can't achieve that, then you might not step off the platform or go for it because you don't want to feel um, that bad. It's a negative. It's just a bad feeling sometimes when you fail. So people avoid it. Um, sometimes people avoid love because it hurts, and when things don't go well, failures can be seen as the opposite, but it's a lot like that. So I think the change in the mindset is to embrace the failure and then learn from it.
Learn from it for sure. In your so do you believe that failure is inevitable on the road to success or it can be avoided?
Huh. I've never spoken to anybody that's successful that has never failed. Um, in business, in sports, in school, it is inevitable. And I think if you try to avoid it, you're never going to achieve your maximum potential again, because it's about reaching for something that's beyond you, and going for it, and then failing at it, and then learning from it. So I don't think there's any way that you can avoid uh, failure to be successful.
Definitely. In your business, Mr. Joe, how many times you failed?
So in just roof bids alone, I have failed multiple times, and I think we're on to something um, positive, or on the final version of what the failures before me have taught me. So I've started three other businesses before RoofBids, and they all failed for various reasons. But each one of those taught me a valuable lesson that got me to where we are with RoofBids. Um, I started a business one time where we were going to create a man space inside of a mall, where men can hang out while the women shop. This was in 2008. And if you know, across the country and across the world, Canada, everywhere, malls have gone extinct. So that failed before it could even fail harder. So I learned to forecast a little bit more. So what I'm doing with roof bids, I'm forecasting that large purchases, such as buying a home or buying a car or putting a roof on, is all going to be done online, sight unseen. And so that those failures have taught me to um, get to where we are today.
Well, thank you for that inspirational failure, Mr. Joe. Totally
I've got more.
empowering.
Yeah, I've got more.
Yes. So let's talk about personal experiences. Can you share one of your hardest failures and how it shaped your path afterward?
Yeah, sure. So probably my hardest failure, I think, was I was actually in the fitness industry. Um, you probably can't tell right now, but I was in the fitness industry and came up with a wonderful idea. I think it's still very necessary to marry the fitness industry. You're wearing your trackable. They're still, today, wearing Fitbits and everything, and we're going to connect that to the insurance industry and also connect it to the health industry. And so I went all in. I left my nice 9 to 5 corporate job. I put a bunch of money into this project and met some developers that were developing the software. And come to find out, after I had sold this package to multiple gym businesses, and was working on the insurance industry as well, that these developers never actually developed the software, and they never intended to. They were framing it to sell it, just the framework. So I had invested all my time, my money, left a great job, and it just crumbled, and I crumbled. I um I couldn't pick myself off the ground. I let my family down. Obviously, I let my wife down. I let my previous owners, previous bosses down, because I had a great job, and I left it for something that I was just blinded by what I thought I knew, and I didn't really look deeper into the market or even who I was partnering with, and I got really, really depressed. Um, Felt like this was like, I didn't know where to go from there. Um, Oddly enough, my friend owned a roofing company and took me to lunch and said, "You should get in the roofing business. There's a lot of money here." And I said, "No way. I'm afraid of heights and I hate the heat. I live in Florida, so I'm not doing it." And a week later, another friend of mine called and said, "Do you know a good roofer?" That was the story that led me to Roof Bids.
Thank you for sharing your roof bids to the world, Mr. Joe. Was there ever a failure you thought you would not recover from, but later become grateful for?
Yeah, so that was a big failure. Trying to start a business, trying to tackle a large industry, And I thought I would not recover from that. But then after I started RoofBids, I began to invest heavily into the advertising, trying to get myself out there. This was before we had the great online platform. And again, probably my weakest skill set is marketing, especially in this ever-changing social media, digital marketing world. um, I connected myself to a marketing company that said they were going to promise SEO. We're going to put in, I think it was $3,000 a month, commit that for 3 months, close to $10,000 that I barely had. I had it, but um, we sank that in, and I learned that the path that they were taking, going through Google Ads, um, was not right for my sector of the industry. And so I lost $10,000 in about 3 months, and that was it. I thought that was done. I got to shut this down. And I really had the thoughts of like, I think I'm just going to go work at the local hardware store. Um, but I had some friends, my wife, and others that said, don't give up on roof bids. It's a great concept. So it took me a little bit of time and to learn from just trusting others. So my weakest point skill is maybe in the marketing in today's digital world. But instead of just trusting somebody, what I learned is that I got to learn what they're if they're going to do it for me, I got to learn what they're doing, or I'm going to learn it and do it myself. So that's what I'm doing now. I've read some great books. I've studied the social media industry. And so now, if I do partner with somebody in the marketing space, I can have that level conversation. I'll let them lead, but at least I know where we're going. And if we're spending money, I know where that's going to be going, you know. So a little bit of faith in that.
Definitely have faith for sure. What's the difference between small mistakes and hard failures in terms of growth impact?
Mm, yeah, I think well, they're both can result in positive returns. Um, the big failures are just harder to recover from. But like my situation with overfunding a marketing strategy that was not going to work, um, the return on that is that I've been able to be more impactful with my targeted marketing with social media. Um, and then that correlates to I can fail multiple times with small amounts, small dollars in the advertising as we're testing and trying to find our space, um, to keep the the traction going. So we can fail small, and then learn from that quicker, and then turn that around into quicker success. The big ones hurt, uh, but the smaller ones are easier to turn around and make some big benefits from it.
Looking back, Mr. Yo, which failure taught you the most about resilience?
Mm. Um, I I think it was failing with my fitness business, um, where I thought I had lost everything. I mean, I did things that I almost, lost my family because the way I pursued this. I lost friends, and I was about as low as I could. And if I had just given up, and said no to my friend that owned a roofing business, I wouldn't be here. And so I think that's probably the biggest lesson from failure that I learned to be resilient. When you are as low as you can be, it's good to sit in that. I say it's good to stay in the suck. Like this sucks if you're failing as hard as I did, or some people do. Stay in that for a minute, and then look around you, and you'll find people that love and support you, and then begin to drive towards what you're motivated for. People say you do what you're passionate about, and you'll never work a day. And honestly, I don't think that's true. I think if you're passionate about something, you're going to work harder every day to achieve that. And that's where the failure builds or convinces you that what you're passionate about is real. And that's when you work harder at it.
Let's talk about the lessons and mindset, Mr. Joe. How can someone reframe failure so it feels like progress rather than defeat?
Hmm. Um, I think if you frame failure as necessary and unavoidable, then it can be expected, right? So um, I know, RoofBids is getting to a good place now, but I know something's going to come along and create a setback, but I'm expecting it. I don't put all of my hope into one thing. I think I feel like if a failure comes along now that I have failed so many times that I can expect and be ready for it, then I rebound quicker. The setback is only a step back, not a fall down. So I've had some falls along the way, but now I think all of my failures are just step backs. And you say all the time, you've heard it, you take one step back and two forward. So if you frame a failure like it's just a step back, it's just temporary, and this too will pass and I can move forward. But I got to take two steps now. So I'm going to work harder at my passion so that I have that space for the next failure to allow to come along and teach me what we're going to do next.
Mr. Joe, as an entrepreneur, what are your short term and long term goals?
So my short-term goals is to get roof bids to where our traction is solid in our current territory in Central Florida. So we're positioned with our roof partners to take on 20 roofs a week,
Yes.
potentially. And we want to get to where we take that model and move it into other territories, first in Florida, Tampa, Jacksonville, and others. And then the long-term goal is to take Roof Bids national. It's scalable. The only thing we need to do is find 4 to 5 roofers in a given territory, and then we switch on the zip codes, and then we start helping people out in the US, and we head to Canada, and who knows from there.
Yes, definitely. And good luck to your goals and looking forward for
Thank
more
you.
success, Mr. Joe.
Thank
And
you.
what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be entrepreneur like you?
Yeah, I think it's just prepare yourself, prepare your mind. People didn't really talk about the failures, they talked about the freedom. And you can't have freedom without failure. So you can't be afraid to step out. Like I said, if you don't step off of the edge and go for it, you're never going to feel like you're flying or feel like you're free. I still don't feel like I'm free. I'm free with my time. I can control my time, but the next bump is could be tomorrow. So just prepare yourself. You gotta read, you gotta learn, you got to work hard at what you're passionate about, and don't give up, don't stop, because the failures are, like I said, just step backs, and you just continue to step forward.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Joe. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yeah, I think right off top of my head, I think in today's um, society for social media, I think everybody needs to know how to um, navigate the social media world. I'm 52 years old, and so if I can do it, then anybody can do it. But Gary Vaynerchuk has a book called Jab, 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 um, Hook, and it's about learning how to effectively market through social media, and it's taking jabs, meaning putting stuff out there that people want. It's not something that you're asking for back in return, but just putting information out there so you build relationships, and then you hit the knockout punch by asking them once they have trust in you. So that's a big thing for me, is just learning to have relationships with people that I don't even know. So it's through social media. It's through that connection. And then the other book that I have really latched onto and recommended to a lot of people that are going from this journey of 20 something into 30 something, where you're doing a lot of great things. You are inventing things. You're a songwriter, you're writing songs, or you're a painter, or you're a pastor, and you're growing the biggest church, or you're a businessman. You come up with these all great ideas, and then in your 30s, late 30s into your 40s, the ideas and the drive begins to change, and if you don't recognize that, you're going to fail, first of all. But this book called From Strength to Strength, meaning that you're going to go from what you were in your 20s, 30s, early 40s into your next. So what's your next? For me, it was RoofBids. I got into this in my late 40s. So my next strength wasn't what I was doing in my 20s and 30s. So there is a next for you. From strength to strength changed my approach to my next phase of life.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Joe. And tell us, how do you balance taking risks that might lead to failure with protecting your long term vision?
Oh, Uh, yeah, I am my wife will tell you I'm way more risky than I probably should be, and that she ever wants me to be. Um, but there is an excitement to the risk. But this is why you have to fail. This is why in your whatever your early days are, or wherever you are, you've got to learn to balance what the negative side of what you're about to do is to the upside. And you have to, with anything, manage and mitigate the risk. So, my lessons of failure don't make me less risky, I don't feel. But if I am going to take a risk, I'm gonna think back and learn from what lessons I received from those failures. And so it might not be as risky as I was in my early years, but you still have to take that risk in order to get ahead. Nobody's starting a business or growing a business or doing anything without risk. So how do you learn to manage that? It's the same as learning to fail. You have to expect it and learn, educate yourself, and then prepare to make that leap.
Mr. Joe, are there ways to spot when a failure is actually a redirection towards something better?
Wow, yeah. That's a that's a good question, and I think I just heard the answer to that through I was just listening to another podcast about yeah, how do you know when to walk away from something that you're like very passionate about? And the first failure is not necessarily it. I think there are some levels of failures. I could have said, well, I blew $10,000 over 3 months. Like that's a pretty big loss for a solopreneur that's bootstrapping. Um, I could have not returned to this business, but I chose to rebound from that. Um, but I think that you just gotta keep on pushing through until you can't push through anymore, um, till the failures are mounting up so high that maybe everybody around you is telling you it's time to jump, and then you feel like it's time to step away from what you're doing. So I think it's got to be overwhelming, beyond the point that you can push through. But that to each individual, that's going to be different, I think, for everybody.
Mr. Joe, very well said. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101 Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Joe, finally, what advice would you give to someone currently in the middle of what feels like a devastating failure?
Mm. Yeah, I think it's self-reflection. I think, like I said, failure is an individual state of mind. So I think you have to spend time alone, whatever that means to you, in prayer, meditation, reflection, and then that reflection is with your friends around you, family around you, and listen to what gets you off your knees and get your feet going, and just start to take one step at a time and keep moving. Because if you're passionate about it, again, you're going to work at it, and that as that passion continues to burn in you, your steps are going to go forward, and before you know it, you're going to find yourself running again.
Definitely, Mr. Joe. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, thank you.
So, Mr. Joe, where do people can reach you?
Yeah, so go to myroofbids.com. It's all right there. You can email me, you can call the number there, but myroofbids.com is the place to go.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Joe, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering business to come. So, Mr. Joe, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
More to come, people. See you soon.